What if I told you that being crushed wasn't proof that you failed, but proof that you were chosen? That the weight breaking you right now is the very thing shaping you for what you were born to carry. Because here's the raw truth no one says out loud. The call on your life will first feel like it's trying to destroy you. I remember the night I lay on the bathroom floor, too tired to even cry. Have you ever been there? When your chest feels so tight, it's like the weight of the entire world is pressing down on you, and even breathing feels like a decision you're not sure you want to keep making. That night, I wasn't thinking about hope. I wasn't thinking about courage. I wasn't thinking at all. I was empty. Hollow. I stared at the ceiling, and all I could think was, so this is how it ends. Not with a bang, but with a slow, silent breaking. There wasn't a dramatic reason for it, no single tragedy. It was the slow erosion of who I thought I was. The failures I tried to outrun, the expectations I couldn't meet, the invisible standards I kept sacrificing myself for. Piece by piece, I had handed myself away until there was nothing left. And when I finally collapsed that night, it wasn't just exhaustion. It was grief. Grief for the version of me that had tried so hard to be everything to everyone. What no one tells you is that this moment, the one that feels like your end, it's also a beginning. But beginnings don't look like hope at first. They look like surrender. They look like lying on that cold floor, finally admitting you can't carry it all anymore. They look like letting go of the lie that strength means never breaking. Psychology calls this the point of ego death, the shattering of the identity we built to feel safe, loved, worthy. It feels like destruction, but beneath that destruction is something sacred, the chance to build a life that's actually yours. And I want to say this because someone needs to hear it. If you've been crushed to the point you can't breathe, you're not weak. You're not failing. You're being invited, maybe for the first time, to stop holding your breath for a life that wasn't meant for you and inhale the truth of who you are. Sometimes the breaking is what lets the light in. The call isn't around the crushing. The call is hidden inside it. There's a kind of pain that leaves no bruise, no scar you can point to, but it changes you forever. I'm talking about betrayal. And I'm not talking about the kind that comes from strangers or distant enemies. I'm talking about the kind that comes from people who knew your heart. People you let close enough to see your soft places. People you trusted with the parts of you you didn't show anyone else. I remember the moment I realized I had been betrayed by someone I loved. Someone I defended, protected, believed in. It wasn't loud. It wasn't some dramatic scene out of a movie. It was a quiet, gut-wrenching moment. A conversation that didn't add up. A truth that slipped through the cracks of their lies. A sudden knowing that the loyalty I gave so freely wasn't being returned. I felt the floor of my world give out beneath me. And here's the hardest part. I didn't just feel betrayed by them. I felt betrayed by myself. How could I have been so blind? Why didn't I see it coming? What did I do to deserve this? In that moment, the betrayal almost broke me. Not just because of what they did, but because of what I started to believe about myself. That I was unworthy, that I was foolish, that I wasn't enough to keep their love or their loyalty. And that's what betrayal does. It doesn't just break trust in others. It breaks trust in ourselves. But here's what I've learned, both from living through it and from listening to countless people share their heartbreak. Betrayal isn't about your worth. It's about their inability to meet you where you stood. Open, honest, willing. People betray because they are unwilling or unable to be honest with themselves. And when they can't be honest with themselves, they sure as hell can't be honest with you. And I know this might sound strange, but looking back, that betrayal was one of the greatest teachers of my life. Because it taught me to stop handing out pieces of myself as proof of my worth. It taught me to stop chasing validation from people who could never give it. And it taught me this truth that I carry in my bones now. Their betrayal didn't break my worth. It revealed it. It showed me the depth of my integrity, my loyalty, my capacity to love. And it showed me where I needed to turn that love inward. Betrayal feels like the end, but it's really an invitation to stop abandoning yourself, an invitation to come home to the one person who will never leave you. You. There's a silence that cuts deeper than any harsh word ever could. And then a silence that doesn't just sound empty, it feels empty, like standing in a room where all the warmth has been sucked out. I remember that silence. I remember the days after everything fell apart, after I had reached out, trembling, raw, aching, and was met with nothing. No calls, no texts, no one knocking on my door to check if I was okay. I would sit there, staring at my phone like it might come alive, like maybe if I stared long enough, someone would remember me, someone would care enough to break the silence. I think that's the part no one prepares you for, how lonely the crushing moments can be. You expect pain from the blow itself, but the real ache, it's in what comes after, when the people you thought would stand with you fall silent. And that silence, it starts whispering lies in your ear. You're forgotten, you're unworthy, you're too much, you're not enough. I spent so long trying to make sense of that silence. I blamed myself. I replayed conversations, tried to figure out where I went wrong, wondered what I could have done differently so I wouldn't be standing there, invisible in my own story. But here's the hard, beautiful truth I had to learn. Silence doesn't always mean abandonment. Sometimes silence is just people's fear. Fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of confronting pain they don't know how to hold, fear of their own fragility in the face of your suffering. And here's what's even harder to admit. Sometimes that silence isn't about them at all. Sometimes it's sacred space. Space where you finally hear your own voice again. Space where you stop performing for connection and start asking yourself, what do I need? What do I believe? Who am I when no one else is watching? Human behavior research tells us we are wired for connection, that belonging is as vital as food and water. But here's what we often forget. We can't truly belong anywhere until we belong to ourselves first. And that's what the silence gave me. As much as it hurt, as much as I resented it at first, the silence taught me to sit with myself, to trust my own company, to stop looking outside for what could only be found inside. So if you're sitting in that kind of silence right now, if you're waiting on someone to break it, I want you to know this. The silence isn't evidence that you are abandoned. It's evidence that you are being invited to come home to yourself. And I promise you, that is a home worth returning to. There's a particular kind of fear that shows up the moment you realize, I have to begin again. And it's not the loud, dramatic kind of fear that sends you running. It's quieter. It's the fear that creeps in during the middle of the night, when the world is still and you're left alone with your thoughts. It's the fear that whispers, what if you fail again? What if you're not strong enough? What if starting over just leads to more heartbreak? I remember standing at that edge, the edge of starting over, feeling paralyzed. Everything familiar had been stripped away. The relationship I thought would last forever, gone. The plans I'd clung to with both hands, shattered. The identity I'd worked so hard to build, unrecognizable in the mirror. And there I was, staring at the empty space where my old life used to be, terrified to take a single step forward. Because what if I fell again? What if the crushing came back, only harder this time? What no one tells you is that starting over doesn't feel brave at first. It feels like defeat, like failure wrapped in uncertainty. It feels like standing at the bottom of a mountain you don't remember climbing down, knowing you have to make your way back up, but this time, without a map. Psychologists call this the discomfort of liminal space, the space between what was and what will be. It's where we are no longer who we used to be, but we haven't yet become who we're meant to be. And it is deeply, profoundly uncomfortable. Because humans crave certainty. We want to know where we're going. We want the guarantee that if we take the risk, it will all work out. But starting over offers no such guarantees. It only offers possibility. And that's what makes it so terrifying and so sacred at the same time. And here's what I learned, slowly, painfully, and with more tears than I care to admit. You don't have to feel ready to start over. You don't have to feel strong. You don't have to feel healed or wise or courageous. You just have to be willing to take the next small step. Because courage isn't some giant fearless leap. Courage is deciding, even with shaking hands and a broken heart, that the call on your life is worth the risk. That you are worth the risk. And maybe the most soul-shaking truth of all is this: you don't start over empty-handed. You start over, armed with everything you've survived. The crushing didn't leave you weaker. It left you wiser, more compassionate, more resilient. And those things, those scars, those lessons, they are your strength now. They are what will carry you forward, one small, brave step at a time. It didn't happen the way I imagined it would. There was no spotlight moment, no grand revelation, no voice from the heavens declaring my purpose, no crowd cheering me on, no finish line, no sudden burst of clarity. It was quiet. Almost so quiet that I might have missed it if I hadn't been paying attention. I was sitting alone, the kind of alone that feels both heavy and sacred, the kind of alone that happens after you've been crushed, after the storm has passed but the wreckage still surrounds you. I remember it so vividly. The world outside was still moving, but I was still, sitting with the pieces of my life scattered and sharp. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't trying to put those pieces back together the way they were before. I wasn't trying to rush into the next thing, the next distraction, the next plan that might make me feel whole again. I just sat. And in that stillness, in that deep, aching quiet, something inside me whispered, "You're still here." And that means something. I didn't feel strong. I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel healed. I felt fragile. But I also felt called. Called not because I was unbroken, but because I wasn't. Because I knew what it was to be crushed and to stand back up, even if my legs were shaking. Because I had seen the darkness and survived it. Because I could look at my own shattered reflection and say, there's more for me than this. We think our calling will come when we're at our best, when we've figured it out, when we've cleaned up the mess and tied it all up in a neat bow. But here's the truth no one tells you. The call comes in the wreckage. The call comes when you are raw and real and finally done pretending. The call comes in the quiet, after the breaking, when there's nothing left to lose. And that's where you find what you were made for. What I learned sitting there in that quiet moment was that my purpose wasn't waiting for me on the other side of healing. My purpose was right there, in the middle of the mess, in the decision to rise again, not as who I was, but as who I was becoming. If you are listening to this, sitting in your own quiet, wrecked place, I want you to know you don't have to wait to feel ready. You don't have to wait to feel strong. You are already called, and the world needs what only your breaking can birth. So if you're listening right now, at your lowest, feeling shattered, I want you to hear this like I'm sitting across from you, looking you in the eye. You are crushed, yes, but you are called, and you will rise.